Check, check, check. Gonna get started in a few seconds, minutes. 1 second. Good morning, friends. How are you? Welcome back to Zine Dreams. I'm Jenn Vega. This is a stream about the exploration of independent zines and commercial magazines, how they're structured, how they're made, tips for curation, and other ways to express yourself with printed matter. Last time on this stream, last Sunday, we looked at Put an Egg on It, issue number 11, because I accidentally skipped over it. So today we're going to go over 13. We also looked at Skies by Dean Putney, and we're really honored to have him in the chat last week. That was really cool, so he could answer zine questions. And we also looked at Edible Brooklyn's Good Meat issue. So if you want to check those out, you can either click on videos here on Twitch or check out the YouTube archive at youtube.com/JENNDLV. Cool. So, lots of stuff happening. I went to my first march and rally of the year yesterday. It was called Confronting July 4th, and I've been pretty isolated for the last 3 months, but you know, there's this cultural need to express our dissatisfaction with what's going on, and so I felt safe enough to go to a rally yesterday, and it was pretty good. People were very supportive and nice and respectful of space, so that was pretty good. But today we're going to talk about 3 independent zines. I'm not going to do a commercial one this week because I'm tired. But we're going to look at Put an Egg on It, issue 13. And then a non-food zine called Cat Calls by my friends Carol and K-Pan. This was a Kickstarter project that I will tell you about. And then a really small zine from the City Hall protests. So Black Lives Matter Protesters Handbook, a guide to protest safety. Relevant to our times right now. How is everybody? Lucius is making lunch. Amazing. What are you having for lunch? I haven't made lunch yet either. I have to test a recipe for rice later, so I'm gonna cure some eggs to go with it. But I don't really know what I'm gonna have for lunch yet. Need some inspiration. If you're in the chat, say hello. Love to know if you're here. See if I can answer any zine questions for you. Oh, Martin is sleepy. Yeah, I'm pretty sleepy too. Lucius is having cod, squid, tomato, and focaccia. That sounds like a great lunch. Really great lunch. Cool. Let's get into it, friends. So we have Put an Egg on It, issue 13. Oh, Matt, you're tired too? You had to rework an RPG you were running because you're switching. Oh, you're switching to Shadowrun? Ask me any questions on Twitter about Shadowrun. I'm a huge nerd about that rulebook. Glad to see you. Hello, Kensho Cram. Do I know you? Or are you new to this stream? Well, welcome. Anyway, we're going to talk about zines. So first up, we have Put an Egg on It, number 13. This is, full disclosure, something I work on. I'm in the masthead on this one. Editor at large, Jenn Vega. That's me. Oh, Lucius, you started listening to Fun City? Oh my gosh, it's kind of the perfect time to catch up on Fun City because we just released like the last episode before we went into quarantine, so like that's 20 episodes. That's a lot of material. So you'll be caught up by the time we come back, I think, and record again. But awesome, like lots of people in this chat listen. Oh, awesome! I love Critical Bits. Critical Bits are now friends of mine have been having such a great time guesting on your stream. You were not earlier, just on time. All right, yeah, fair. 4 episodes is not one last episode. It's a season finale, like a week-long season finale. Anyway, we're here to talk about zines. I will answer Shadowrun questions later if you need. But here we're starting with a little. We don't have a lot of advertising in Put an Egg on It, but this was an exception. We have a little like our own kind of ad for the Ace Hotel, London. We did like an exchange with them because they hosted a gallery exhibition of our photography. Hey! Oh, thanks, Lucius, for gifting subs. So generous of you. We have a tip here at the beginning of the issue. Quinoa compressed. Use a French press coffee maker to rinse and filter quinoa before you cook it. I didn't know you could do that. I actually don't drink coffee, so I wouldn't own one. But I bet you could do that with many other kinds of grains, but I'd be worried about them getting stuck in the swirly tines of the French press. Here's that illustration. Okay, I'm going to read you the letter to the editor. Through some special mix of vibes, ideas, location, and people, a restaurant becomes a sort of place where everyone goes. A big blender of artists, freaks, workers, and those who just can't sleep at night. To me, these special spots are vital to our survival as humans. We just can't sit around staring at our own image all day. There has to be interactions left up to chance. You have to participate in conversation that surprises, confuses, or challenges you. We hung out with Florent Morellet for this issue, gathering images from his magical restaurant. He currently resides in Bushwick as its reigning godmother and still throws fantastic parties. That was written by Simon. That is such an interesting perspective about restaurants. Like, I do love that notion of needing places to have conversation. And I think Twitch is actually kind of my online cafe with all of you, especially on Wednesdays when we talk about food. But today is all about zines. Yeah, what a strange thought. Like, restaurants. Like, what are restaurants to you guys now? Are you ordering takeout and delivery? Have you tried to go out to brunch? And I hope if you are going out to restaurants that have outdoor dining that you're wearing your masks and staying safe. Magazines. Independently made magazines. Zines. This is another part of my life. I'm not just a chef. I know. So many things happening at once. Cool. So the next page, so we go for a coffee at Mud whenever we have some Manhattan business. The coffee is good. It's a nice place to sit. Scott Price, pictured here, is often at the counter. And that's the person who hosts our Munch About section this issue. Secret zine life. Yes, I do have a secret zine life. Well, it's not so secret. You've been doing a lot of delivery, huh? You did go out for your birthday beginning with a friend. Oh, that's wonderful. I do think it's still important to commune with your friends. We can still do it safely and responsibly and fairly to all the essential workers that are out there. Let's see. Got a recommended product here. It's called Big Spoon Roasters Peanut Butter from Durham, North Carolina. It seems designed for indecisive eaters. A spoonful from a jar falls somewhere between creamy, crunchy, sweet, and salty, diplomatically hitting every note from your childhood memories. Ooh, wildflower honey. Interesting. Has anyone ever had this peanut butter Big Spoon? Oh, great to hear you've been eating at home since March 10th. I know you've been going to the Asian market, which is amazing, and experimenting with new vegetables. That's so awesome. I love that most of you are cooking, for yourselves. And I understand when you don't have energy or like, or the wherewithal to cook at home, because I certainly get tired of cooking as well. Yeah. There's a comic here. Will there be snacks? There will be snacks. Applicable to my life. There will be snacks. Excerpt from The Feasts of Autolycus by Elizabeth Robbins Pennell. I'll just read you the first paragraph here. Fashion and art have little in common. Save for chance, they will remain always as the poles apart. The laws of the one are transitionary, of the other eternal, and as irreconcilable are they in the observance. Make then your choice between them, since no man may serve two masters. Oh, I'll keep reading this other paragraph here. Know that if ever the noble art of cookery be wrecked, it will be upon the quicksands of fashion. In many ways, it is threatened by the passing mode, but above all, one danger looms up before it, grim, relentless, tragic, the more awful because, to the thoughtless, at first it seems sweet as sirens singing. It is an evil born of the love of display and the keen competition between fashion's votaries. For they who would pose as delicate diners think to eclipse their rivals by number of courses and bewildering variety. How to prolong the menu rather than how to perfect it is their constant study. In excess, they would emulate the banquets of the ancients, though they are too refined by far to revive the old vomitories, the indispensable antidote. Dish follows dish, conceit is piled on conceit, and with what result? Interesting. There's this argument about fashion and food not being able to mix together. You're a ziner too, or whatever you would call it. I don't really have an identifying term for us. Ziner, I think, is okay. If anyone else has an opinion about what zine makers are to be called, creators, is that too general? I don't know. We have another tip here. It's try this. It's easy to dehydrate fruits and veggies in your oven. You just set the temperature to its lowest setting, cut the food you're dehydrating into 1/4-inch slices, and set them on a tray. Then leave them in there all day. Try a combination of beet, carrot, and apple chips, and then after you dehydrate, take them out and toss them with whatever you like. Salt, cayenne pepper, cinnamon, or ginger. One other additional trick to that when you're dehydrating at home in the oven, I stick a wooden spoon that I don't care about in the door so that there's some air circulation. If you look at any commercial dehydrators, like that's kind of the secret is air circulation. So an oven is a closed system, so you'd want to crack it open just a little bit with a spoon or some utensil that you don't care about that's not metal, because metal conducts heat, to dehydrate things. Beef jerky even in the oven. Let's see, we have a Munch About, which is our food tour of a specific neighborhood. With Ralph and Sarah, Ralph and Simon, excuse me. Don't mean to call you by a different name. I'll read you the first bit here. You're late. No, I'm not. I need coffee. Ralph gets in my car grumbling and we argue half-heartedly until we arrive at a coffee shop. Always the first stop. We're running a few errands before we go to the studio to work. Invariably, this takes all day and we never actually make it to work, but I maintain that all this car chatting and wandering is a vital part to our creative process. On the way to the East Village, we take a detour down a side street to avoid traffic on Broadway. Ralph tells me about the architecture of the houses. Mud, our first stop, is an East Village institution. Ralph comes here all the time when he's in the neighborhood. I know this because he sits there and texts me all about the annoying college kids and his despair over how boring everyone is. Their coffee is perfect, and there's a guy who works there who I think is dreamy. That's great. Have you been to Mud? And they go through a whole tour here. Oh, they've been to Sunrise Mart? How many of you have been to Sunrise Mart in the East Village, like the Japanese market? Oh, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't really drink coffee, so I never really had a reason to go into Mud. And I think I tried going in there, and I didn't think they had tea on the menu at the time. Oh, you go to Sunrise Mart regularly. Amazing. I love it there. I love it there. Okay, has anyone ever had a candy bar called Manja? M-A-N-J-A. I have deeply rooted love for chocolate, especially if it is from the car wash. I know this sounds weird, but I grew up in the 1980s in a small town, Austria. Amusement for a chubby 7-year-old with a mullet and pink glasses was rare. One of my weekly highlights was the trip to the car wash with my dad. Admittedly, it wasn't the prospect of a Sunday morning there that made me come along. It was the promise of a Manja chocolate bar. Think of them as a sublime love child between Reese's Peanut Butter Cup and Nutella. Oh, Manja sounds so good. Wow. They are just as typically Austrian as Sachertorte, and for reasons I never scrutinized as a child, were only available at the car wash. And this was from Claudia Koch. Wow, manja. Has anyone ever had this? I've never heard of it. That's cool. I've had one of these, actually. Pennsylvania Dutch birch beer. Has anyone had that? There's a shallow bend in the creek at the bottom of the mountain where I grew up, and we would sit in it on rickety lawn chairs while the cool water rushed over our thighs. We drank birch beer in yellow cans, mimicking the adults nearby in slightly bigger chairs, drinking cans of Bud or Yingling. This is very, Pennsylvania specific. Birch beer tastes like root beer, only redder and stickier. This is from Simon. Has anyone ever had this birch beer, Pennsylvania Dutch? I've had it. I'm not a fan of root beer in general, but birch beer was easier for me to drink, I think. Okay, we have an art feature here by Linny Kroll. I'll read you the first paragraph. MELD is a project born of necessity. When Massachusetts College of Art and Design senior Anna Stabler was poised to graduate with a degree from the school's Studio for Interrelated Media, she found that her dream job didn't quite exist, and thus decided to build it. MELD sprang from an observation that art patrons often creep towards the snack table at shows to quell social anxiety or to dilute discomfort associated with viewing jarring exhibitions. MELD felt that if these comestibles were going to be ubiquitous, they should be incorporated into the experience. We believe that art, food, and conversations are inextricably connected. I relate to this. There's an exhibition of someone being blindfolded and going to the snack table. That's what one of my art exhibitions was about. I have it on my website. If you go to www.randwich.es, like, I have a explanation of my exhibit called Masarap, where food was like part of every part of the, art of the art. Okay, so we have a historical photo spread here of Florent. Look at all this. Performers. There's this sign here that says, I think it was at the restaurant Florent. Be thankful, be very thankful. Shaka Khan, aeroplanes fall, protease inhibitors, chest hair, soul food, making star love in the night, relationships, single life, Kiehl's pineapple facial scrub, Uma Thurman, Vegemite, alcohol, cigarettes, willpower, good lighting, free transfers for the subway, French fries, lust, love, life. Those are all pretty empowering and wonderful. So this was like a 24-hour diner, I think, in Chelsea. Oh, Keith Haring was there. Look, Keith Haring went to this diner. Wow. You know that artist? Okay. Let me see. Is there a... Yeah. This is about a place called Florent. It was like 24 hours, and Ralph would tell me stories about this place that it was like anyone could go. It was like a level playing field. At one table there might be like drag queens who are just who just like came from work, and then the next table would be like stock traders, and then like fashion people, and just all sorts of people going in and out of this restaurant at like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It just seemed like such a great space. And it kind of goes back to like that first opening paragraph that I read you about restaurants and that moment of unknown conversation. I think that's amazing. We have an essay from Gregory Ayers called Cooking for a Crowd. Read you the first little bit here. We eat to nourish our bodies so that we can be healthy. We eat with others to nourish our souls so that we can be human. I like that. I really like that. Okay, we got another tip here called Lemon Lifted. Worth its weight in gold. Choose citrus by selecting the heaviest one for its size. I agree with that. There's this little illustration here of a dude lifting. Because, I don't know if you've ever had a pomelo or grapefruit, but sometimes you'll get tricked by that fruit. You know, if it's not heavy, but it's like big in size, it'll be mostly like pith. So yeah, feel your citrus. You know, cup your citrus. Okay, we have a dinner conversation with Duncan Hanna, Alia Numrov, and Adrian Danchig-Waring. They've got a cat. So dinner conversation is our feature where we record a conversation between 3 different artists. I'll read you the first bit here. I spent all afternoon before our dinner grocery shopping and catching up with Alia Naumov. Alia is a filmmaker and a photographer. She lives in a cozy apartment in Chinatown with her cat, Gremlina. Gremlina. Oh my gosh, what a name for a cat. I had the arroz caldoso simmering and a baguette warming in the oven when Duncan Hanna called to say he was here and couldn't find the buzzer. Duncan is a painter who has been living and working in New York since the 1970s. Ralph was close behind, and Alia took their jackets while I put out a plate of ricotta, honey, smoked trout, and apples. Wow, sounds like a good combination. I squeezed a little lemon all over it for good measure. We mixed up some papaya juice, sparkling water, and lime for everyone, adding mezcal for those who were interested. Adrian Danchig-Waring was the last to arrive, rushing downtown from a rehearsal at Lincoln Center. He's a principal dancer with the New York City Ballet. We got acquainted and dipped into the plate of appetizers. The conversation, as it often does, started with romance. I love that. I love that. A principal dancer. This is them. Wow. Love it. Okay, you got a little essay here about sugar. Oh, nice to see ya. I would like to know your favorite zines. Yes. All those things are very interesting to me. Okay, getting back to sugar here. This is from Ralph. A charming Victorian lady in an English tea room, her spoon circling the inside rim of her cup, clinking, dissolving sugar cubes into her tea. This sound makes me think of humanity, a sharp, unnatural, and pleasant detail. I think about myself as a character in a novel or figure in a painting while sitting in a 24-hour diner, stirring cream and sugar into coffee. Whoa, that imagery really gets me. Like, I would do that too, except with tea. History enacted, 3 a.m. writing, doodling in a notebook. Torn packets littering the table. It's not that I imagine myself mythic, but the sound radiates fiction. She marvels over the geometry of sugar cubes. I sit late into the night, kept awake and alert by troubles and sweetness. Wow. What a great paragraph. Oh, we got a photo shoot here by our friend Ricardo Roa. It's called Esculturas del Hambre. Esculturas de Hambre. Sculptures of Hunger. Yeah, I miss Veselka too. Oh, for those of you who don't know, Veselka is like a 24-hour restaurant in the East Village, and they had pierogies, Polish food, like comforting Polish food at 2 in the morning is amazing. Well, what's your order at Veselka? Like, I would get the meat dumplings fried, and I would get a mushroom barley soup with the applesauce and sour cream to go with the pierogies. That was my order when I went to Veselka. We've got some sculptures here by Ricardo, like acrobatic forks and avocado. I remember I would go to Veselka with a lot of my music friends late at night, and, be like a table of 8 of us. And not everybody would eat their applesauce at the end of the meal, and so I would go around, making short conversation, and then like eat their applesauce while they were talking to me, and they'd be like, "Did you just eat my applesauce?" And I'm like, "Yes." You weren't touching it. Oh, the deluxe meat plate, yeah, with the kielbasa, right? Yes, I know what you're talking about. Got some sculptures here from Ricardo. Oh, this bananas with knives in it. I think that's beautiful. We've got a Food for Longing, sort of a diary from Ava Berlin. I'll read this beginning here. It's 2006, and I'm living in a small apartment in San Francisco. At 4 o'clock every afternoon, mist and chill roll across the entire city from left to right with no compromise to the season or mood for the day. At 6 o'clock, I wind my way through the fog up to the same steep hill every evening, reaching my gated door, then climbing 4 damp and creaky flights of stairs. Oh, and then a feature of Seibo, a small Japanese restaurant sandwiched between 2 large buildings. Is Seibo still open? Do we know? I don't remember it. It's 2006, so maybe not. I don't know. But then Ava goes to Paris and Miami and where else here? Paris and Miami. Okay, we have a photo feature here called Small Plates Bushwick. This looks like a dinner party. Dinner party spread. Don't we miss dinner parties? Let's see what this is about. Many of Florent's friends, so Florent was the person who had that restaurant. Florent's friends, past and present, including Denise Dalfo, Tim Vey, George Calderaro. Names. They gathered in his apartment and on his roof for a huge spread of gazpacho, salads, garlic shrimp, pâtés, veggies, and cheeses. That sounds wonderful. Look at all these people enjoying. Love a dinner party, don't you? I miss them. Okay. Oh, our recipe section here. This was a very cool theme for a magazine to have a recipe section about shame. So it's not like a typical theme for a recipe section, you know, like all fried things or all boiled things or all food from this diaspora. But this is about shame, so that's like a wide topic or like huge potential for a recipe theme. So like when we come up with themes for Put an Egg on It, they're always so outside of the food world, which I think is great because food relates to most things, or we can relate it to most things, and most people have stories about food that relate to all sorts of feelings, and so shame is one of them, good and bad. So we have recipes for goat cheese ciabatta with honey and mint syrup, a Manhattan, yum, everything crumbs, everything crumbs, I highly recommend, like, you know, everything bagel seasoning, but like as a condiment. Gluten-free scallion pancakes, bacon mungo, this is the recipe that I submitted, which is mung bean stew with watercress, rice, and bacon. I modified this recipe from childhood because I always thought mung beans looked like cat vomit. But anyway, we also have fried rice for 1, BLT salad with chips on top, yum. A stop at Wawa, there's your Pennsylvania again. Oh, all these things, why is it called a stop at Wawa? This drink, a float of booze, thick cold brew, and ice cream, is a shame shake. Shame for putting this combination of chemicals into your body. Shame for being over the age of 14 and drinking what is ostensibly a milkshake with streams of chocolate syrup running down the side. Shame for Big Lebowski references you're going to make while drinking this. Shame for knowing every line of that movie, not the geological strata this drink's dark brown layers resemble. But you're going to own all of this shame, and you're going to want to put more ice cream right on top of it. Why is it called a stop at Wawa? I'll have to ask him about that. Little Carter's okra pot liquor. Ooh, okra. I have okra in the freezer. Okay, we've got some food tips here. Spinach spruced. Place wilted lettuce and greens in warm water to re-crisp. I don't know that trick. Warm water for wilted lettuce? Never tried it. We got another tip here. Burnt banished. Use a wooden spoon when making anything in a big pot. This way, any crusty burnt bits will stay on the bottom of the pot. Oh, instead of using a metal that scrapes things up. Yeah. We also have so alongside the recipe for BLT salad, my friend Elizabeth Barnett has like a poem. I'm gonna read it to you. Know what you like to eat. Eat it proud, eat it loud. What you used to only eat alone, eat it in front of your crushes. Show you're eating over the sink. All your aloneness, your rushes, don't hide your red hot and blue chips, dipped in earth balanced butter, chili and lime corn chips, scooping up tofu cream cheese, dill pickle chips with no fork, and a whole box of mixed greens. Share how you hold handfuls of both, keeping all the seasoning in between. Act like you feel free enough to lick the fingers that stuff. Chips onto veggie burgers, chips onto vegan grilled cheese, chips, barbecue ones, onto avocado salads with chickpeas. How you're messy, use your hands like you do, use your voice. Speak the wants that bubble up inside you, use your body, use every part. Remember that your heart has a mind too. Trust it, trust your gut, fill yourself up, eat everything that feels right. You're recreating a human being with every bite. Do it like you care, do it like you don't care, double dare. Yes. It does sound like we need a Zoom dinner party. Ooh, we should do that. That sounds fun. Yeah, we should do that. That'd be fun. Okay, we're at the end of the issue here. About, we have a feature about Trey Barnard is the chef and owner of We've Got Soul in the back of Carlton Station in New Orleans. I'll read you a little bit of this. The very first thing I made that I was proud of was an Italian sausage stuffed pork loin. That sounds great! My neighbor growing up was on a champion barbecue competition team, and he noticed I had a love for cooking at a young age. I was probably 10 or 11 then. I was being an asshole kid, smoking cigarettes and sitting up in trees by my house, rebelling against my parents. My neighbor thought he could redirect some of that kid energy by teaching me something about cooking. So he took me under his wing and taught me how to make this dish. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever tasted in my life. Wow. Sausage stuffed pork loin. Ugh. Well, I hope you're enjoying your lunch, Lucius. I'm so hungry. And we've got a picture of someone's fridge here. We always like taking pictures of fridges. And then on the back, we've got a little illustration of a family eating hot pot. I miss hot pot. I can't eat hot pot alone. It feels really wrong to eat hot pot by yourself. So communal. So good. So that was Put an Egg on It, issue 13. Available still on the Put an Egg on It. Oh, actually, no, this one is sold out. Oh, we didn't reprint this one. Oh, we don't really reprint, but this one is sold out. I'm sorry to say. This is one of the last ones. I'm keeping it. Yeah. It's getting warm in here. I'm gonna put an egg on me. Poached egg! I'm also gonna turn on another light. 1 second. It looks so dark in here. I don't know why it looks so dark. It's gonna thunderstorm all week. Did you know that? Okay. The next zine I have. I know! Don't you love it? This hot pot illustration? So good. So the next thing we're going to look at is from a Kickstarter project by my friends Carol and K-Pan, or Catherine Pan. They used to work at Kickstarter, and a lot of the times when they wanted to educate the community about how to do something, they would illustrate it by making their own projects, which I think is a beautiful thing, you know, like a place that encourages you and lets you like make stuff. So this project was called Cat Calls. It's very funny. I'll read you, actually let me pull up the project. I'm going to read you what it was about. Do you ever walk down the street and have some random two-legged cat call out to you? Do you ever walk down the street and have some random four-legged cat meow at you? Do you have trouble distinguishing between the two? We're here to help. Pledge to receive our handmade illustrated zine of cat calls. For additional monetary support, you can contribute a cat call to be considered for illustration. We're also making stickers so you can spread cat calls worldwide. It's funny. Cat calls. So it's taking like this sort of toxic masculinity thing that happens to women on the street every day and turning it into something funny and like, yeah. So I have the zine here. I'll go back to my larger screen. So you can see on the front there's a, like, you know, I'm not seeing these people who catcall you as a threat anymore, but as like a cat licking its genitals. It's pretty great for diffusing that tension. And there's, I don't know if you can see this, but the tape across the thing says, "Do not cross catcall crime scene." It's pretty good. I experience a lot of that. Like, not just catcalls, but men specifically online, like, feeling entitled to date me or, like, want to say stuff to me like that. Like, just this morning, somebody on Instagram was like, single, question mark, under a photo of masks that I was selling online. And I just, you know, I respectfully and quietly was just like, it's none of your business. And this guy proceeded to argue with me about it. It is none of your business. Why are you asking a stranger on Instagram if they're single or not? Like, I don't know you. But anyway, so digital catcalling in general is something that still happens even though you're wearing a mask. It's weird and desperate. It doesn't work. I don't know. It's gross, first of all. Yeah, creeps. Lots of creeps. I experience creeps as a woman of color on the internet. And my presence is just not, you know, permission. Anyway, we're here to talk about catcall zine. I mean, it is all relevant, but I'd like to get back to my zine here. So these were printed just on a, you know, regular office inkjet paper. It's on white. It's just a half sheet, so like full sheet, 8.5 by 11s, like that. But these are really fun. These were doodled by both K-Pan and Carol. See, hey! This one's going, hello, hello, hello. Has a cat ever done that to you? Gotten in your face and been like, hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Oops, I dropped something. Then we got a big one of a cat going, hey! Hey! Would your boyfriend mind if I got your number? So gross. And there's like a little black cat saying, pay attention to me! Oh, so silly. But these are things that like people have said on the street, you know? I like to watch you walk away. Gross. So gross. I want to marry you one day. I actually had a bodega guy who made my sandwiches say stuff like that to me. He would draw hearts on the foil on the outside of my sandwich, and I'd just be like, I don't want to go here anymore. And I actually stopped going to that bodega to get my breakfast sandwich because I was just, it's gross. I don't want to be around that. Let's see. Yeah, random dudes telling you they love you as a conversation starter. Looks good from where I'm standing, and it's just this cat, like, is so happy to see you. Yeah, what if dudes on the street catcalled by turning around and showing you their butt cat style? You know, or just started licking, like, their pants? I'd be like, good for you, guy. Good for you. Need a ride? Oh, that's even creepier to get in my car. Need a ride. Have a nice day, beautiful. Or they zoom run away in the opposite direction. Bless. I wish. I wish. That's what I'm talking about. This cat. I mean, it's a very short zine, but it makes a point, right? Catcalling is dumb. And they made stickers to go with it, which are pretty great. I love the hey. Hey! And there's a cat that's just like... I mean, that's what zines are, though, right? You know, they're an opportunity for us to talk about issues that we care about or that are bothering us. Like, yeah. I find myself becoming more vocal as we explore all of these zines. I don't know about you, but it's giving me more ammo and vocabulary to, like, talk about this stuff. But yeah, that is Catcall Zine by Carol and K-Pan. I'm not sure they have any more copies of this, but I'm sure they still have, like, the InDesign and can just print one, if you ask them nicely. So yes, that was what it was. Catcall Zine. And then, continuing our political spike here. Yeah, that's so right, Lucius. Humor is such a good way to get into it, and yeah, true. The juxtaposition of cats and catcalls is fascinating. The next one has an anonymous author because it is from Occupy City Hall, which is what is happening in New York City right now. I don't know if you know, but just as a little catch-up, the New York City budget allocates $1 billion to the New York Police Department. And as a community, we've been, calling for city councilors and administration to defund the police. Unfortunately, they voted to approve the budget, not without a fight, though. I mean, there were city council members like Ben Kalos and Carlos Menchaca that opposed it. Our public advocate, Jermaine Williams, also opposed it and tried to do everything he could to stop the vote. But still, currently, members of the community are occupying City Hall and expressing their dissatisfaction with the vote and call for change. Every other night this past week and a half, riot police have been antagonizing and arresting people during a peaceful protest, and it's been frustrating to watch. And so there are a lot of great things about the Occupy City Hall movement. Like, there is gardens, there is free food for the homeless in the area and for people who are staying overnight for the protesters. There's a library, there's a garden, there's meditation and sort of classes or working groups to educate people who want to learn. And one of those things, or one of the materials that is coming out of it, is like a suite of zines. Like, this is one that I got my hands on, but if there are others that you know that are being mailed out, I would love to hear about it. But this one is the Black Lives Matter Protest Handbook, and it is structured like a lot of the other zines that I've shown you, like these little mini folded ones. Like, so it comes from one sheet of paper. You see this? And you fold it in half, you cut halfway, and then it makes the pages here. Did I do it right? Nope, I didn't do it right. I broke it. No, here we go. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Zine. Okay. Got it. No, didn't get it. Shit. There we go. Oh, your city council member, Carlina Rivera, also voted against. Great. Yes. So, Black Lives Matter Protesters Handbook. A guide to protest safety. I think this is really important, even if you are a person who is maintaining distance and not necessarily part of the front line. It's really great for you to know this stuff anyway, in case a friend of yours goes in and you want to help. Like, what are the best ways to prepare for that? So, what to wear: nondescript, solid color clothing, goggles, mask, and sneakers. Yes. Hair tie if you have long hair, hairband or hat, helmet. No jewelry or loose items, no contacts or oil-based products. So solid clothing, so that you don't really stick out, because despite, maybe you didn't get arrested there, there's been proof that the police have been looking over footage and tracking people down and issuing tickets or arresting them in their homes. So try to keep your identity secret. Goggles, masks, and sneakers, not just for pandemic safety, but also for harm. They're very liberal with their use of batons and force and shields. So make sure if you have, sensitive teeth, maybe wear a mouth guard also. That stuff is super scary. Hair tie, hairband. If you have longer hair, a hair tie might not be enough, like maybe a headband, because if you sweat a lot or you get pepper sprayed and sweat into it, it will go down into your eyes. So yeah, no contacts or oil-based products, because pepper spray will spread easily with that. So bring water, food, a first aid kit, extra masks and hand sanitizer, cash, an ID, a Sharpie, earplugs, and extra clothes. Because earplugs, if you do plan to stay overnight, I know that the police have been trying to disrupt sleep by playing loud, amplified sounds. Yeah, no logos, no identifying stuff. Agreed. Need medical attention? Look for a street medic/medic tent. They're usually going to be white tents, and they will have the red cross of like medical insignia on them. And if you need one, yell for one also if it's urgent. Vigilance. Eyes to the back, eyes to the sides, eyes to the skies. So always look out for signs of planned escalation, ranging from newly arriving cop cars to conveniently placed bricks. Yeah. They have sound cannons, yes. Actually, my friends Dave and Gabe, who are installation artists, made a sound cannon blocker. I'll tweet that later, but it's very massive and like heavy, but it works. Are you not black? Be ready to place yourself between black protesters and the cops. If the cops get violent, they are less likely to hurt you. Your purpose is to protect and amplify, not to lead. Security. Try not to bring your phone to protests. If you do, turn off data and location until you are away from the protest. If in custody, do not accept water, gum, or tissues which can be used to collect DNA. Erase metadata from your pictures so that other protesters will not be identified. Post screenshots instead of the original picture, because anyone who downloads your original picture will be able to see what device, where it was, you know, all that stuff. Use Photoshop's clone stamp to cover faces. Put 5 emoji over visible faces. Twitter has like tools for that on mobile now where you can like block out like anything. If you see a protester getting arrested, collect their full legal name, their date of birth, record the place of arrest, record cop badge's number or name if they haven't blocked it out. Goodness. There's a website here, creaturefriend.org. Will help locate people and connect them to advocacy orgs or bail funds. Write on your arm. So if you are going to go to the front lines and are at risk of arrest, write the number of your area's National Lawyers Guild, the contact information for your local community bail fund, and a person to contact in case you are stranded past curfew. Another tactic I've seen at rallies has been to use colored masking tape with your name and your pronouns and maybe a phone number in case you get sweated on or you get pepper sprayed and have to wash off that marker, like a masking tape, like painter's tape or duct tape even with like the information is also really helpful. If detained, say, am I free to leave? I am invoking my right to stay silent. I am invoking my right to an attorney. I am invoking my right to to record public events. I do not consent to a search. I do not consent to a retinal scan. That one is for identity purposes. If an officer is using force to detain you, do not resist. Once in custody, do not give cops any info on protests or anything that is upcoming. Tear gas encounter, ? Cover the can with a cone and then douse it in water. I didn't know that. If you were exposed to tear gas, do not touch your face. Find a space to get fresh air. Bend forward and let your nose and eyes run freely. Tie a cloth around your hairline to catch tainted sweat. And shower while bending forward. Because you don't want to get... So all this stuff has like volatile oils. So just like how we talk about spices in my cooking stream, like things like pepper and mustard have oils. That's where all the essential like volatile stuff is. So once you break open a mustard seed or a peppercorn, that oil is released. And what you also have on your hands is oil. Your skin has lots of oil. So if you get sprayed in the face, do not use your hands because you would be spraying it to your hands and then you'll touch other things with your hands. So remember that you have oils in your hands. So when you're trying to wash off harmful stuff, you either have it sprayed or doused on you or like shower with like bent over so you don't touch it until it's completely gone. See, cooking advice does help with protest stuff. Remember, we do not need a permit to march in the streets or in the sidewalks. Legal does not mean moral. Illegal does not mean immoral. We are fighting against centuries-long genocide of black people in America. And so the direct credits, it says here on the back, direct credits and sources are not listed for their own safety. This knowledge is rooted in the often unpaid labor of black, brown, and queer revolutionaries. If this guide helped you, donate to a black revolutionary today. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the Black Lives Matter Protesters Handbook. It's being distributed at City Hall in New York City right now. There's a lot of great material going around, and I said on a previous stream when I did like this Allyship 101 sort of lesson, I'm also still learning as like a woman of color in the world, and I still have privileges that I can use to help, and one of them is having the time to keep reading. And there's one material that I found that was really helpful for understanding sort of my next step as an ally / accomplice. So there are, you know, levels of being an ally, which is taking on a struggle as your own. And as it's evolved, we started to see sort of these Instagram influencers who are not helping but trying to show that they want to help. You know, like they're gonna take a photo in front of a protest with a protest sign and then walk away. So that kind of harmful allyship is starting to come out from everybody learning about the word ally and then jumping in, taking a photo, and then leaving is not helping the movement. So there is another level of education that needs to happen. Once you did learn that elementary stuff of what is an ally, like what is next, and then what is next is being an accomplice. And so let me share this document with you that I found really helpful. That's not that. It's not the cat calls. So I don't quite agree with this dichotomy here between allyship versus accomplishment or being an accomplice. I think that it's levels. Like, I think it's great to start as an ally and grow into being an accomplice. Like, I don't think that they should butt heads from the get-go, but there are ways that we can avoid being a harmful ally. And I know that arguments can arise when someone calls you out on being a bad ally. Like, I'm trying here. Why are you getting on my case? I don't want to help you anymore. But your reaction should be like, okay, I'm ready to be an accomplice. Like, what is my next level, like, engagement with what's happening in the world? So, so harmful allyship. I'm going to qualify a lot of the language here because I don't quite agree with it, but I think it's still helpful to understand, like, what performative allyship is. So, allyship is often performative, loud and shiny effort intended to show how informed we are about oppression. This includes, like, taking selfies at protests and rallies and not following it up with any action. So that's kind of the important part of really being an ally and an accomplice, is to pair that with an action. As allies, we are helping or standing up for someone who is disadvantaged. And that is kind of doing the, oh, cute, you need help, let me help you, you suffering. Like, no. Like, allow black people to celebrate excellence and joy, and not that they're constantly suffering. So allies often focus on interpersonal interactions. You know, we gotta build it bigger. So it does start with interpersonal interactions, like your friends, your family, your partners. But, you know, we can grow that to your workplace, your community, your apartment building, your city council, you know. So think bigger when you're thinking about being an ally. Ally work risks are very little. At most, we deal with social discomfort. We got to get ready for more sort of personal discomfort, and that might mean physical too if you're deciding to go to protests. I am not on the front lines of protests, but there are some opportunity risks that you can take as an ally. Like, for example, if you are being asked to speak on a panel and it is not diverse enough to showcase the talent that is the full spectrum of whatever it is that you do, you can speak up and give up your place on a panel or an event or something, or a lineup, a music lineup or something like that, to make space for someone else, for a black or brown person. So social discomfort is one thing, but giving up your space and opportunities is another. Allyship is heavy on talk. Yes, it is. I think it is important to talk. Yes. But again, we want to pair that with action. Ally work is often done alongside marginalized people. There is an emphasis on collaboration that often requires marginalized groups to educate the majority. Again, Google it if you are curious about how to help. Don't burden your black and brown friends with teaching you every single little thing. Like, this was found through a search, you know? Civility is highly prized in allyship, like prioritizing politeness over making someone else uncomfortable is part of that toxic allyship. So don't be afraid of making people uncomfortable if it's right, you know? And ally work generally does not redistribute resources. But we can work toward that. So let's go toward this other side here of solidarity and being an accomplice. So in solidarity, we recognize the destructiveness of oppression to all of humanity. We acknowledge that as our collective well-being is interwoven. Solidarity work is often quieter, deeper, and occurring behind the scenes. So that means organizing, making zines, making materials, policy. Like, there's so much that we can do, and it is much quieter than performative allyship and posting on Instagram every day, you know, that kind of thing. So acts of solidarity work to dismantle structures and institutions. So it's going to the root of the problem. Solidarity work may require us to give up power and or risk our physical safety, our jobs, our secure place in any social hierarchy, our friendships and family relationships. I have some friends right now that are cutting off contact with their family because they've tried every argument and have no choice but to take space back, you know, for themselves and for their community. That stuff is hard, and if you are going through that, please talk to a friend. There are people out there you can talk to about what that's like, you know? It's not easy. Solidarity is talk and action, yes. It's often enacted by or in collaboration with marginalized people. So this is an example that I've been hearing over the past weekend when it comes to organizing events and protests. It's been a lot of like white people who have a lot of energy and resources to put on the protest, but don't consult and collaborate with the brown people they're advocating for. So it feels a little like mismatched. So take a step back if you are organizing any events to make sure that the people you are advocating for are included in the conversation, and not in a, you know, exploitative way. Like, make sure those people are paid for their time, credited, or given resources to do what they need to do, you know? So solidarity is a responsibility. Hard truths, conflict, and messy disagreements are integral to solidarity work, excuse me. Solidarity means that we intentionally work to redistribute the ill-gotten gains of systemic oppression. That means jobs, schools, neighborhoods, housing, healthcare, and capital. And so this comes from Over the Work Ally, 9 Ways Solidarity is an Act of Radical Self-Love. And this was published in 2017. So it's not old material. It is very helpful. I think it's a lot to think about, and where we are as a community and a world. Yeah. Oh, you've read that the effect of one type of pepper spray is like a very intense wasabi. Oh gosh, yeah. Eek. Yeah. The Hong Kong protests have been a good source of info for how different people can help, for sure. And I remember this tweet that I shared like a month ago is like, you know, we need everybody. Like, it's okay if protesting is not in your lane. Maybe it's being creative. Maybe it's having these conversations. Maybe you've got some money. We need all of these. It's okay if you don't occupy every lane of solidarity. It's really wonderful that I can take this Twitch channel that was originally about food and talk about these things. So thank you for being receptive to it and for talking to me about it. Like, I think it's super helpful and constructive and good. And, you know, this place is here for you to ask questions even about this stuff. But zines is one way we can fuel the resistance. It's information, you know? So, good zine. Black Lives Matter Protesters Handbook zine. Boom. So that was that one. We also went over Cat Calls by Carol and K-Pan, and then put an egg on issue 13, which I'm afraid is sold out. That is all the zine stuff that I have for you today. I will be back on Wednesday to talk about ingredients. What did we say we were going to talk about next week? Let me see. I want to get it. Twitch questions. On Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we are going to talk about... Where is it? Where'd I put it? I don't remember. My computer's being really slow because I'm running video and OBS. Well, last week we talked about pie crust and watercress. This time, oh, charcuterie, right? We're going to talk about charcuterie, cured meats, and tomato so far on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Yes, that's right. Tomatoes. Check out all the links below. Tell a friend to join this channel. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm all places. All your support is appreciated. I really like hanging out with y'all, but I am hungry. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Hopefully I'll see you again Wednesday at 5 p.m. to talk about food, and again next Sunday at noon to talk about zines. Have a great rest of your Sunday and a good start to your week. Thinking of you all, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.